Welcome to AstroTwins Radio, your cosmic GPS for life, love, and everything written in the stars. We're Tali and Ophira Edut, the AstroTwins, here to decode the astrology of the moment and help you navigate your destiny like a pro. Well, here we are, the week of September 8th through 14th. Hello, everybody. Whew. Coming down from the Sunday total lunar eclipse in Pisces, and sort of a tamer, slower week to integrate everything. There's not a ton of outer planet action this week. There's not a new moon. There's not a full moon. But I'd say that's a relief because we
had enough in the first week. It's like this was one front-loaded September. Oh my God.
I know.
Saturn backing into Pisces, Uranus retrograde, Mars, Jupiter. And last week, whew.
Yeah, it was intense. If you didn't listen to last week's podcast, well, you might want to go back and review it because a lot of the things we talked about are going to be affecting us all for a while. But moving ahead with the week of September 8th to 14th, I mean, there's just so much to unpack about the aftermath and kind of the lead up also to Sunday's total lunar eclipse in Pisces. But, you know, let's just talk a little bit about the mechanics of eclipses and what they are, what they mean in astrology. You know, eclipses always come in pairs. We start with a new moon and end with a full moon, or we start with a full moon and end with a new moon. They're 2 weeks apart. If it's a full moon, then it's going to be a lunar eclipse, which was the case on September 7th, Sunday, with a Pisces full moon. And if it's a solar eclipse, then it's a new moon, which is going to be the case in a couple weeks. September 21st, we have a new moon in Virgo, which is really a big event because it's the second of 2 consecutive Virgo new moons, which is rare enough on its own. But this one is also a solar eclipse, a partial solar eclipse, meaning the sun will only be partially blocked out by the moon. But it's still, you know, it's still an extra zing. Now, they happen to be in opposite signs, which doesn't always happen. But this first eclipse in Pisces is like, let me just open the floodgates and let everything out. Let me just pour this momentous change your way. Let me just make you feel like you're lost in some like hall of mirrors.
Lost in the sauce of Pisces.
Yeah. And then we'll get that second Virgo new moon and solar eclipse to bring some order to our courts. But, you know, we were talking earlier about manifestation, the question people ask us a lot, should I manifest during an eclipse? And Ophi, you had an interesting take on it.
Yeah, it's just like thinking about what manifestation even is. And, you know, as I think astrology has gotten more popular on social media, like short form social media, like Instagram and TikTok and YouTube shorts, I think we have a lot of kind of what I would call the superstitious crew that of people who are like, never manifest at this time, do this at this exact. It's been going on forever. It was void of course moons was a big deal, and some people really do faithfully follow that. Like when the moon is void of course or planet is out of bounds, there are, you know, I all due respect for people who follow what feels right
and have that sensitivity to it.
Yeah. But, you know, there are people that like get into this place where they're like, if I don't do this at this exact moment, it's not going to happen. And when you get that attached to something, I feel like you've given away your power. I don't think that's the proper use of astrology. I think that is a denial of your own agency. Well, our approach is that we treat our clients and listeners and readers like they're co-creating with the stars, not that they're, you know, just waiting there as passive victims or beneficiaries of what is going to happen. Now, is the eclipse a powerful window for change and releasing? Yes. And eclipses do kind of, they unfreeze what's frozen. And then there's this sort of moment where you're everything is kind of moving and it hasn't refrozen. So I guess if you're manifesting, whatever that even means, like
Well, if you're
forcing something
consciously,
to happen, if you're consciously setting an intention, what if anything, you might be shortchanging yourself, because what I love about an eclipse is that it brings something out of left field that you didn't even expect. Like it brings something maybe that's even better than what you thought it could be.
well, you were
And that,
saying, yeah, that it kind of does the manifesting for you if you allow it. And Pisces is
yeah,
the sign of surrender. So it's like, do you need to just kind of let go a little bit of the control and like allow yourself to see? And I mean, if you are going to consciously do a manifestation ritual where you visualize, picture yourself already surrounded by the outcome you wish to create. That's how Wayne Dyer said it in his book, The Power of Intention. Um, you also have to be prepared with an eclipse. This would be my kind of woo warning on it. It's like, be prepared. It's like when you ask for it, you're going to get all of it. Oh, I want to find my soulmate. Well, your soulmate might show up as somebody who has some lessons that you need to learn that aren't going to be like all champagne and roses.
I'm
Like,
thinking like a regular full moon is like a microdose and an eclipse is like a heroic dose or something. It's like you're getting it all and you're going to puke and do the shadow work, but you're going to come out on the other side reborn. Whereas like a basic full moon might be like, well, that was cool. Yeah, wow. Something kind of cool, big, but not that big happened. So, yeah, I mean,
thinking about all of my friends, our friends who came back from Burning Man this year and it rained and they weren't allowed, they had to wait like in line and sleep in their cars. People who were trying to get in on Sunday because the winds were so high that the at Burning Man there's only one entrance into the whole festival, and you have to go through this little town called Gerlach. It's like the last place to get your supplies or your gas. And poor residents of Gerlach, although they probably are happy that they make a killing on those couple of days, I'm sure they have to put up with so much garbage from people who are irresponsible burners. But I digress.
no doubt.
Anyways, just the line was like forever, but then people got in and they had this experience and they maybe became one with the elements and emerged, feel if they actually didn't just go to Burning Man like Sparkle Pony, they maybe emerged, with this new sense of wonder and oneness. I mean, that's kind of what this
I'm only
eclipse is
going off of
about.
what I've seen on friends' Instagrams who went, where it was like, wow, no words to describe. So, I mean, maybe people say that every year about Burning Man, but it does feel like it was extra charged by the eclipse. Like the oh my God, what you had to go through to get in there, but oh my God, what you went through while in there and how you came out the other side, maybe feeling unrecognizable to yourself. That is the opportunity of an eclipse.
And
So
that's kind of what we have this week is to like
we're
if
in the afterglow of it. We're just going to probably
yeah.
start to feel it. I mean, they take, you feel them for 3 to 5 days on either side, and then a month later and before reverb. That's what I've always, Susan Miller has said that for decades, and I think I've observed it to be pretty true. So I will say, like, the manifesting at the eclipse thing is just kind of the idea of an eclipse is that, yeah, surrender, because things are moving so fast that trying to control things is resistance is futile. Eclipses kind of push us off the fence to make a decision one way or another. So, but I also think that it's a really smart way to live that is counterintuitive to how some people use astrology, which is like astrology is not here for you to just manipulate everything, to manipulate the 3D world to your will. It's an invitation to actually have some awe and recognize that there are other forces working on your behalf, and to, you know,
Allow
let
for
go a
them.
little and
Yeah.
allow, which means being vulnerable
Yeah.
and dealing with the fact that you're not in control. The control is an illusion too. So I think
Yeah.
that there's a philosophical and spiritual and energetic metaphysical transformation that needs to happen along with um the cosmos
But we
as
can, we can
yeah.
manifest unconsciously too with our fears. We are always attracting.
Yeah.
We're also, very attractive. And if we're not aware, if we're unaware of our thoughts, we can be drawing things in. And I think this week is also a really powerful time for just naming your fears, naming the things that are giving you anxiety or scaring you, and then kind of bringing in like a reframe of those. Like the night before the eclipse, I was home on my own, and then I was like, I was talking to a friend. I was like, well, it's hitting my second house in my natal chart, and it's hitting my fourth house in my solar chart. It's a Sag, and I was like, literally, it's like, oh God, I hope no one breaks into my house. I was like, why did I even say that? And then I went down this whole rabbit hole, and then I broke out the sage, and I was like, let me just like ask for protections around my house. And so like you might want to ask for some protections if you're making a
I do
wish or
think though that
manifesting that only that, well, I
yeah.
would just say
As you're
like,
saying that though, like like a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how your thoughts about the future can be your consciousness jumping forward in time. I would say that at an eclipse, that may not be true because
mhm,
a couple of astrologer friends have also reported having like exactly those fearful doomsday thoughts.
which is very
Like I
Pisces
haven't heard from
too.
you in a while. Yeah, it was very Pisces and Saturn is back in Pisces. It's like, whoa, what was that? And
Yeah, I was like,
so
why
I
did I go
noticed like,
there?
yeah, I went to some places like that too. And I was like, okay, I had to say cancel, cancel, cancel a few
Oh, I did
times.
that. I
And like,
knocked on, I got all my superstitious parts out. Yeah, it's just, but again, it is okay. Like sometimes it might even be for your own subconscious to say, here's my wish, may only the good, true, and beautiful, surround this, or just, may
I
this
guess,
be
yeah, I guess an
delivered
eclipse
gently,
is,
may this be delivered with love and safely to me. I mean, I don't know. It never
it's
hurts to
stirring the
add that on.
pot of the subconscious and unconscious. I think an eclipse does. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like the word manifesting, I believe in manifestation. I just think it's just become,
It's been misunderstood, and it's like
yeah,
we
just,
can't. It doesn't mean you control like you might ask for something, but especially with an eclipse, the delivery could come with a surprise.
yeah. But it's a full moon. It's a total lunar eclipse. So, yes, some things are going to come to fruition. I had a lot of amazing things happen. I feel like some things came together fully, and then a couple things it was like clear no. So I like the eclipses for like, all right, is this happening or isn't it?
And
Sometimes you get
yeah,
that answer, like you said.
or sometimes something happens that's so amazing, but when you think about the eclipse being like a blood moon, so we saw the uh shadow of the earth really turn the entire full moon, because it's a total lunar eclipse, red. It's like there's a veil on it, there's a tint to it, so like you might have to look a little deeper to maybe even get the full magic, not like read the
Yeah.
fine print, read
Yeah,
the
exactly. So that's it's a good thing we don't have other big transits to contend with this week because honestly this is more than enough. Yeah, but before we get into the week's transits, because at the end of the week we are starting our Astropreneurs 10-week mastermind this Saturday, September 13th. Just want to give one last invitation into there. So we had a couple of amazing webinars about how to use astrology to start or grow your business, and we'll drop the replay link to the Sunday one. We did some live hot seats with business owners or people who wanted to create businesses, some really amazing people and ideas, originality. So if you are what we call a soul centered entrepreneur, someone who wants to make a contribution, or maybe leave your day job. Maybe you already have a business, but you want to grow it consciously. You need to stand out, differentiate yourself. Things have changed in the world and your industry. You're looking for both practical but non generic advice on how to build a brand that really stands out. And you want to be in a community of other people who are doing that at the same time. Uh, Starting September 13th, every Saturday, we're spending 2 hours. We have a whole amazing curriculum with things like how to find your kindred spirit customer, how to actually create pricing and charge for your services in a way that doesn't make you or the other person feel icky, especially when you're working in sensitive, healing type of fields. It can feel weird to ask for money. So, and it has to be done in the correct way, in the correct spirit. How to introduce yourself and write a bio that actually doesn't hide the fascinating parts about you, but doesn't also like make them drown out the other parts too.
Yeah, one of my favorite lessons is the peacock flamingo one, where we look at your offerings. A lot of people like have a lot of feathers. We had, some people in the webinar who are like, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. So like a peacock, they have this fan of feathers and they need their flamingo offer. Like the flamingo just stands on that one leg. Um, so it's like, what's that one thing that you're gonna pour your energy in, and then you can have your peacock fan around that. And then there's some people who are like so stuck on that one flamingo offer that they're not like tending to all the offshoots. They need a little more peacock. So we're
Yeah.
going to figure out if you're peacock
We
or
have a lot. That's
flamingo.
just one
And
example
we're
of
going to
like,
tie
yeah.
every single one of these back to your birth chart using our I am system. You're going to find your archetype. You're going to, use your chart as the guide so that you're really creating in alignment with your chart. So that starts Saturday, September 13th. It goes for 10 weeks till
Till November 15th. Yeah. And we also have 3 bonus sessions with our internal family systems parts work practitioner, Everett Considine. So not only are we going to be sharing what we've learned from all the mistakes and triumphs and everything in between building our business over the last 25 years, but we have additional coaching and support because even sometimes when you have done all the things, that little old ancient part of your brain, that childhood trauma, that shame from the third grade teacher who embarrassed you in front of the class for not doing your homework or laughed at you when you spelled a word wrong, that can carry along with you and stop you from debuting or launching or doing things. So we're going to clear the pipes of all of that. Anyway, we would love to have you there. We have some incredible people at all stages of business ownership, from not even starting to having established brands in there. And it's just going to be such an incredible way to round out the year and go into the holidays and the new year. So,
And
well,
honestly, entrepreneurs, astropreneurs, as we call people who use astrology to optimize their career path, their business, we're going to need that because you've probably heard that the job reports numbers are in here in the United States after all his bragging and boasting about how the economy is stronger than ever. Trump's term so far has had a record low number of new jobs. 22,000 were added. It would have been considered low if there were 75,000 new jobs added. So
oh, wow.
but I see that as actually, part of this whole age of Aquarius starting to ripple in bit by bit. This is an opportunity for people to find new places. There's always a need. This whole hype about AI is going to take over all the jobs. No, this happened, those of us who were born in 1972, we started University of Michigan in 1990, and I remember they gave us our email accounts, and I was like, what the hell is this? And Ophi kept trying to just explain it to me. And I was like, I don't get it. Well, how is that male? Wait, I don't know why I was like, I mean, it was like, that's what it was like for a lot of us. And I mean, it's kind of funny, but Gen Xers, we are the pivot generation. We have had to like move and move and move. So, 10 years later, while a lot of millennials were still in elementary school, our entire jobs, like we've experienced the job market taking this massive, like unscripted evolution with the internet, and now here we are again. We also saw the same gold rush of IPOs. Remember what a bit that was, so like
Oh
in
yeah, when
the
everyone was a millionaire on paper and like
oh my
then
God, it
all
was
the
so
companies tanked. I feel like that same thing is going to happen with part of AI. I mean, I was on LinkedIn
I
today
do
and
too.
this person who's a real person, works for has a PR firm, but she sent me three messages and not one of them was even remotely didn't even have a single detail that showed she had looked into who I was. Like, have you worked with the public? I I'll be honest, Ophira. I
Oh
am very
God, gag.
selective about who. Full transparency. I'm very selective. I actually drafted up a response that I didn't send, but I'm like, I'm using this for a teachable moment in one of our astropreneurs lessons. But I was like, you want to represent I was like, are you a chat bot, an intern, or the owner of the company? Because you have not included in the three messages one single detail that shows that you even researched who I am and what I do. I was like,
It's such a turn off. And
why am I
yeah,
wasting my time yelling at probable AI? But I was like, I felt under the eclipse. I was like, I just have to get this out of my system. Stop doing that.
I
Anyway,
mean, it's
I
exact.
digress.
Yeah, I mean, the thing. I mean, I just a little flashback. We were in New York City in the late '90s and the aughts, working at companies. Like, I mean, we taught ourselves how to build, how to code. It was, I remember being like, oh my God, I really just wanted to work in media and publishing. And it was really getting harder and harder to get any kind of an editor or writer job. But nobody was pivoting and nobody knew how to turn their website, their magazine into a website. So I
But they were doing
actually
a really terrible
they were doing
job of it, we should say, because they were starting to, but they didn't know how to do it and remain human. And it's the same thing
yeah.
with AI.
Or it just looked really, really bad. Yeah. So I remember Debbie Stoller from Bust magazine, and we knew each other from the feminist magazine circuit because we used to have our own magazine called Hues, which is a intersectional feminist magazine that we're very proud of in our history and our archives. But we built the first website for Ms. Magazine, and our knowledge of content and that we had created on our own independently really played in. So anyways, but it just started to snowball really quickly.
Well, don't let
And
these alarmist articles make you think that
no,
like something's going to replace you and all that you've learned up until now is a waste of time, because it absolutely wasn't. In fact, it's quite
no.
the opposite of
But
that.
it's like I just remember it being the same kind of hype machine because people were like, I've got this idea and I'm going to make a website, and there were some really amazing ideas out there, but the world was not ready to adopt it. People did not have the technology set up for it. It's like there were these great websites that help you. I mean, things that we take for
With
granted
dial up
now.
modems, we didn't even have
Right.
broadband. There wasn't even enough infrastructure, or just like the data centers
Right.
and
It's like
climate destroying, AI and how much energy it takes up. It was the same thing. It was like, oh, you built this website, but nobody has a connection to the internet that even goes fast enough for it to load.
But it was
So
great, like they would do an IPO, an initial public offering, like with just like an idea and like future forecasting. And we worked for a company that got $100 million, no joke, in it was called Urban Box Office. And we still have some of our best creative friends to this day. But they got pushed to grow and grow and grow. So we were all in this loft on 26th Street and the West Side Highway. Martha Stewart living was in the building. She used to land her helicopter on the roof. We went in this elevator that we had to be pulled up by hand. It got so annoying after a while. But at first it was just like a nice spacious loft, and then it started to get more and more
They went from like
crowded.
50 to 400 people because the investors fire hose them and force them to grow. And, we ended up leaving, but they had their launch party on Liberty Island and couldn't even pay the bills. And someone released their bankruptcy Chapter 11 papers on the now faster internet at the end of the era.
So
And they were being
crazy.
sued by the Statue of Liberty. It was
I know. I mean, this literally happened, but
felt
I just feel the
vindicated.
same. Remember, I mean, they like let everybody go. We were putting together a women's community site called Womanhood,
Which I
and
had to go buy from a
you did.
pornographer. Yeah, I had to go with a male
Oh,
coworker and bring
that's
a
right.
$5,000 check to this little windowless office to get the domain name from him. Now it would have been
I
$500,000, but yeah.
completely forgot about that. That is
Oh
just so
yeah.
ins that was God, domain names were being held hostage then. Well, I mean, they kind of still are. But yeah, it was just but the same like wild, wild west and like big talking, big promises, which was one of the like the grossest things I think pre-eclipse that we saw. Last Saturday on September 6th, Uranus, the planet of
Gonna
technology,
say.
turned retrograde. And we did something on Instagram, and you may have seen this in the news, but there was this, you made a funny joke about,
I'm gonna take a I rarely allow myself a seventh grade Uranus joke, but
oh,
I
come
said
on.
Uranus, well, in public, let's be honest. But to say that we knew Uranus was retrograde because there were so many old boys attached to a certain someone's ass.
There was a
So
lot of ass kissing. So at the White House, there was this dinner with Trump and Satya Nadella, Mark Zuckerberg, Tim Cook, all the tech, mostly oligarchs, maybe two women, three women there. Just like, and how much are you investing in the United States? Mark Zuckerberg. Oh, about 600 billion, boss, a G boss. It's just like, and Tim Cook from Apple,
oh my
like,
God.
oh, about 600 billion too, boss, a G boss. I mean, it was just like,
It's like
watching
a
it was so
bad.
insane.
And then they had
Like, who's
the
gonna break your kneecaps after here if you don't say 600 billion? That's what it felt like. It was so ridiculous.
and then no, so Uranus is technology. It's retrograde in Gemini, which is, just old boy tech oligarch, just bad news. I mean, Trump is a Gemini, so it's like we had the staged public servant Mar-a-Lago wannabe cosplaying in the White House, former Rose Garden, now paved over and set up with Olive Garden style yellow umbrellas and patio chairs. It was a
Shut
sea of
up.
white men, suits and ties.
Club Rose
Yeah.
Garden, they
He
call it.
called it club. Yeah, the Rose. Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House. What sign is that Johnson
Oh, I'm gonna
anyway?
look him up.
I mean
Yeah.
that. I mean that in the double entendre. So yeah, I mean, I hate going on Twitter, but I had to look, and it was people were calling it the pedo patio, the pedo parking lot. I'm like, I mean, even
Wow,
I
the
think
patio. Mike
it's
Johnson's a January 30th, 1972 Aquarius. Ugh, same year as us.
72. Good God.
I
Why do
know.
women look so much better than men in Gen X? Sorry, there I
He
said it.
is,
Like,
and he also, and
there's
this is some
no.
eclipse stuff, he is now trying to push a narrative that
Oh
Trump was
yeah,
actually an FBI informant cracking the case on Jeffrey
that
Epstein.
is the most.
I mean, that is
That's what
just
an
like
Aquarius will
how
try to
much
do for a
spinning.
Gemini. Like, come on.
How much spinning? I mean, oh, what a tangled web we weave. I mean, what Pluto's coming for him pretty soon. You know, he's
Miss Johnson.
about an
Yeah.
8-degree Aquarius. Pluto will be hovering within 3 degrees of
So
that
is the
next year.
North Node. He's an Aquarius North Node. So next year he gets his North Node return. Can those midterms come fast enough? I mean, it's just incredible. Just I don't know, just
Well,
to
that's what
watch
we
it.
kind of said. Like secrets were going to be revealed. So here he is trying to spin this Trump was an FBI informant. And then we had the incredibly brave survivors of Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell coming to DC for a press conference. And then these just complete douches like Pete Hegseth fly these B-52 and military planes overhead to try to drown out their testimonies and their,
And now
it's just
Pete
so
Hegseth.
classic.
This is so Uranus retrograde in Gemini, which rules words as
He's
well.
a
So
Gemini,
he's a
right?
Gemini. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a Gemini. Trump is there's a lot of them.
Sorry,
Uh,
Geminis. So
sorry,
sorry.
there's so many good Geminis out there that we love, but they are making you good. Hey, look, like we always say, Christy Nome is our sign,
We have
Sagittarius,
Nancy
and
Mace, Steve
oh no,
Bannon.
she is too, right? Oh my
Yes, that
God,
idiot.
yeah. Let's face it, there's terrible people in every sign, and they have crawled out of the woodwork. Pisces eclipse style. Pisces brings all the
Oh, yeah.
creepy crawlers. Saturn is retrograde now in Pisces since September
Oh,
1st. It's brought all the creepy, crawly slugs out from under the rocks, exposed in the light of the Pisces lunar eclipse. But yeah, I mean, Hegseth has now uh, got an executive order going to rename the Defense Department the Department of War. I don't know if you've seen that. He was like, "We're going to take away the this, and we're not going to be defensive. We're going to attack. We're going." It's like, oh, and starting in your own country with Chicago. Let's go. Astrologers have been saying that Uranus was in Gemini and Neptune was in Aries during the Civil War. And, we've been like, oh God, don't let there be another civil war. Well, there is. There
oh
is like
yeah.
literally right now in Chicago. And I gotta look up Chicago's chart and birthday. I think like we
Mm.
know, like, don't even you want to come for the Midwest? Listen to us, Detroiters. Detroiters, people are afraid of Detroit. Detroit was afraid of Chicago. They had Al Capone. They were like an organized crime version of Detroit. Like you didn't mess. If you wanted to go big, you had to go to Chicago from Detroit. That's where you graduated to give 0 Fs. So, go
Well,
ahead and mess with Chicago.
yeah, I mean, it's just, now I don't know, Saturn and Pisces and this eclipse in Pisces. Pisces does rule pharmaceuticals, and so does these Virgo Pisces eclipses are bringing out a lot with just the fight around vaccines.
That
RFK
too.
Jr. also had his hearing, and there was pushback from both Democrats and Republicans, but will it matter
And that
when the
happened too
time
with the
comes?
Rose Garden. Like everyone, like what was
They'll push
interesting to
back,
see
but
on
they'll bend the
Twitter was like
knee.
Epstein, release the Epstein. I mean, but still kind of like, is that what matters to you? He's freaking dead. Like, why do you
Well,
care
it
so much
does
about
matter
that? It does
because it
matter, yeah.
incriminates Trump, they believe. But I mean, he started like literally had a seditious, led a sedition, and he's been brought back in to be president again. He feels pretty untouchable in that way, and it's like, what is this teaching us as Uranus goes in Gemini and Pluto?
I
This
think that's where I go to human design, the 2027. We're ending a 400-ish year cycle called the cross of planning, where we're in the shadow phase, moving to the cross of the sleeping phoenix 2027 for 400 years. And essentially, all these systems that since I think it was 1615 that have been supposedly holding up and advancing society and creating different countries and carving out all these countries, et cetera, has reached its full maturation and is now in the shadow, kind of breaking down, making way for the new energy, which is supposed to be more communal. So to me, that tracks. I've been reading about this more and more in my human design rabbit hole that I've been going down to distract myself from the dystopian reality of this planet. So but the more I read, the more I'm like, an interesting take. Don't worry, I'm not reading it the way like someone would go QAnon or whatever. I'm just like, yeah,
We
that
do go,
tracks.
obviously, we go through eras and, you know, there's the human design aspect adds in somatic and the body, and we're really feeling like this split between body and our physical bodies and artificial intelligence. Uh, Another Sag, Joseph Ladapo, the doctor, Surgeon General of Florida, has removed the vaccine mandate. You know, there are people who want that. Go live in Florida and then come on over to Washington State if you want vaccines to be accessible where they are. I mean, it's like we are polarizing around beliefs, but unfortunately, like, so much of it is just not backed by science and not, I mean, look, astrology isn't backed by science, but we use astrology
Well,
to
astronomy is.
analyze. We use astrology as kind of you know, the lens to view things through, but
We're
that
not
doesn't,
making
or telling you that,
legislation based on
yeah,
astrology either. We're
or
not.
telling you not to get, certain health care treatments because of astrology. Like
In
if you
fact,
need
if
a
any
surgery during
astrologer does.
Mercury retrograde, get the damn surgery. I mean, that's just crazy if you don't, but just
Well,
be
that's full
careful,
circle
ask more
back to what we were
questions. Yeah.
saying, like with manifesting during eclipse, like really think, especially with Saturn back in Pisces, like really think through what you're saying when you say things like that. Like, what does it mean? Like, there's just,
Well, it's
yeah.
just, yeah, it's just so the everything with Uranus and Gemini just feels so split, so hypocritical. Like this whole vaccine thing is like about bodily autonomy. Well, what about our reproductive rights as women? It's like everything someone says, it's like, well, what about this? It's like, and that's why Israel and Palestine have been fighting for so many years. What about this? What about this? What about this? This was mine. This happened that. I mean, it's just like we've it's new for a lot of people. Our dad was raised in Israel as a refugee. We've been hearing about this conflict our entire lives, and it always has felt like such the even when we were kids on the playground, the way people would talk about it felt like kids on the play. Well, you did this to me, and you did that, and they did this, and it's just like there's no light at the end of that tunnel. And boy, Pluto cycles usually come in like a wrecking ball. Pluto and
Mm-hmm.
Aquarius has really been hardcore. I mean, it's messing with democracy, which is an Aquarian thing. It's messing with technology, an Aquarian thing. But need I remind you that Pluto, when it moved into Capricorn in 2008, took down all the banks, the mortgage industry. There was a crash. We got Barack Obama, which was great. There was, and
It was a
and
total transformation of Capricorn ruled things like government, banks, economies, real estate. The whole gig economy came out of it like
yeah,
2008 to 2024.
I'm going to
So,
remain an optimist and say something good will come from this, but it's just like really forcing us to question what holds meaning for us, what holds truth, and kind of circling back to what we were saying about astropreneurs earlier. Like when the world shifts, opportunities might dry up in some areas, but they always open up in others. This has been the case with the printing press, the
mhm.
industrial loom. This has been the case. Oh, anytime there's a disruption, the internet, it's like, well, then a whole new set of needs comes along. And I'm sorry that we don't need a robot to do these things for
Certainly
us.
for the rest of this decade, a spiritual transition team, people who are steeped in knowledge of the 3D world, but also ready for the 5D. One thing that's been really amazing, we should still share, we are doing readings. I think we're pretty booked up, but so get on the calendar. I
Got some
think we're
openings in the second half of October now, or is where they begin again. Yep.
yeah, or maybe later. So because yeah, I think I've noticed that we have had a lot of women coming to us, coming on our webinars, et cetera, who have worked in the Defense Department, never calling it the Department of War, for the
Right.
military, for the in intelligence, for the Pentagon. And I just like I'm in awe of all of these amazing women because I know that there aren't a lot of them in those industries. And
Probably to put up with a lot of shit.
yeah, they probably had to go to engineering school or like, really do something that a lot of women go into STEM or into a field of,
Mhm.
of study that a lot of women aren't in, and how courageous and tenacious they must be to just be in those fields. And they're also awesome and into astrology. I mean, I've had like this has been the year where like some of the most amazing women in finance and defense and investment banking and private equity have like come into my sphere, fully immersed in, I'm not even going to call it the woo. I'm going to try to strike that word from my vocabulary because it's so demeaning. It's like, oh, it's like calling stuff
Fully
chick.
spiritually awakened,
Yeah, it's like
open and actualized. They're, yeah,
exactly phenomenon,
aware of
energetics.
the matrix. Yes.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm sorry, but that's like calling like a novel written by a woman chick lit. Remember
Right.
that? It's like F
Screw you.
you. Stop
Yeah.
diminishing the stuff that we create. It's like that's where, I know we came down a little hard on Taylor Swift, but she does the girly stuff and it's authentically who she is. And that's why we were like disappointed that she stooped literally to these weird bent over showgirl poses on her albums. Like, you don't have to do that. But
Mhm.
anyway, we're not going to go there this week. But Uranus
It's art. It's
retrograde.
art. People have said, I'm like, it's not, there's nothing original about that. I don't find, I'm like, maybe if it was,
What makes it
it
art? I
wasn't
mean,
artistic. It was just like, felt like some
commercial.
wannabe softcore porn.
Yeah. Is that the era that she has to be in now? Come on, Taylor. Like, just bask in your engagement. We're here for it.
Maybe she's got a Mars and Scorpio. Travis Kelsey is Venus and Scorpio. So maybe he's bringing that out in her. She's feeling comfortable expressing that around him, which is great. It's just like context is everything. Like it's like that's do your thing, but like where is this going out in the world? And again, there's nothing wrong with expressing your sexuality. It just didn't feel
no.
empowered. And again, that's
It
my
felt like it was
interpretation.
for the gate, for the like an outside gaze versus like her really feeling herself and like being in it and feeling, you know, sexually self-sovereign. I mean, hello, we grew up in the Madonna era here. No judgment whatsoever. You just kind of know when a woman is, I mean, and it's okay even to awkwardly experiment, but like maybe she is like the teenage girls in their bedrooms listening to her because that's kind of probably where, anyway, enough
Oh,
about
maybe
that.
it'll help with the depopulation and girls will start wanting to have sex again. I'm kidding.
And then
It's like
they'll need reproductive rights and they won't have them. So please, Taylor, if you're going to do that, make sure you turn the other cheek. There's another Uranus joke. And don't turn the other cheek. Make sure you stand up for the laws affecting girls vocally too, because people are listening and
bodily
the power.
autonomy for women,
Bodily autonomy,
please.
yes, yes, in every sense, not just the commercialized album cover sense.
Right. Well, so this week is very light on transits, but on Friday we do have a conjunction of the sun and Mercury in Virgo.
Cazimi.
Mercury cazimi, the sun bathes Mercury in its golden light. Mercury is, at home in Virgo. So it is kind of a clean your shit up week, get your paperwork done, get your stuff organized, pick up the pieces, get the practical solutions going. And then on Sunday, we have a waning quarter moon in Gemini, which is in the aftermath, which, both of those are Mercury ruled signs, Virgo and Gemini. So
More
it's very
Gemini stuff.
much a week of like sorting, organizing, logistics, thinking through. And Gemini's like, who do you want to partner up with that quarter moon? Like you may have to do a little bit of an audit, a friend audit, a
I feel like with
partner
Uranus
audit.
going retrograde in Gemini on September 6th, it's like a week later. It's like that, buyer's remorse and the person you swiped on or whatever people do nowadays. Just like it's like, ooh, I thought you were like my
Yeah,
other
it's like
half, but now I'm just kind of like, yeah,
cringe,
cringe. What was I
regret.
thinking? The goggles come off, and you're like, whoa. So if that's what happens, then move on, move it along, because there's a Virgo. We're in the eclipse corridor, as the 2 week period between two eclipses is called. So from Pisces to Virgo, from chaotic, escapist, delusional, but creative, imaginative, artistic, surrendered, receptive, and open, to Virgo precision. And it's the last day of Virgo season too. Then we go into Libra season. Mars leaves Libra and goes into Scorpio, both on September 22nd. So that's what we're moving
Yeah,
toward.
that third week of September is another like
Whole new flavor.
shift. But we're in the eclipse corridor this week and next week too. So we're
We're in
really in that
Mercury
space.
mayhem of like a lot of Virgo and Gemini with a side of Pisces. So it's very much like in our heads, fighting words. I feel like Uranus retrograde in Gemini is very antagonistic. This is the first time in our lifetimes we're ever experiencing it. If you were born anytime after 1949, you've never experienced Uranus and Gemini in your life until this July 7th. So it's a new kind of retrograde, but I'm feeling like, yeah, it's like people, it's the just that mean spirited schoolyard bully, like nasty words kind of retrograde.
Yeah. I'm just looking up new trends and dating names because I just find this ridiculous. Banksying is subtly sabotaging or moving away from a relationship in an elusive way, similar to the self-destructing art of Banksy.
That's very Pisces.
Yeah, it's like when you think that you're both like totally invested and all in, and the other person is like moving away and all of a sudden they just
Stealth
destroy.
drifting. Yeah.
There's cannonballing, diving headfirst into a relationship with full immediate commitment, skipping the testing the waters phase.
You might
Date
do that. And then next weekend, Gemini quarter
dating
moon.
wrapped, an introspective trend where singles reflect on their dating year, similar to Spotify's wrapped feature, to learn from
Um,
experiences and set your intention. Sounds
that could be both annoying AF and kind of like addictive to read. Like I'd probably read it and be like, ha ha ha. And also just like, ugh.
Here's a couple more. Freak matching, bonding with a partner over shared weirdness or their quote unquote darker sides rather than focusing on initial icks. Okay.
Hmm.
You know,
Scorpio moon is like Scorpio moon, Venus and Mars is like, yeah, at least get to the real stuff fast.
yeah, maybe not. It
But
depends
I
on
don't
what it
know.
is.
The freak factor has got to be
Yeah,
like
that might be a
there's a
little
line in this Epstein era.
freak matching. There's grim keeping, a new term for finding something to complain about in every situation. Don't be a grim
Ew.
keeper in,
Oh
your
God.
friendships either. This one's
Grim
disgusting.
keeper. Also the
Aha. Yeah.
What is it?
A hot rodent describes someone who is unconventionally attractive but still
Oh, I heard about that because
desirable.
I think who was that? Like Timothy Chalamet. They were calling a hot rodent, I think.
I like hot rodents.
Yeah.
Golden retriever. This is like nothing special.
What you
A
think?
partner is consistently enthusiastic, loyal, and optimistic. And lastly,
What's wrong
yap
with that?
trapping. A date. A date where one person dominates the conversation and doesn't ask any personal questions about the other person.
Sounds like the
That's
LinkedIn exchange. It was a yap trap.
watch out
Okay.
for
As
the
a
yap
professional yap
traps.
trap, I'm very selective about who I work with. Who are you? Yeah. So yap trapping. I've gone on
I
back in
select
the
you based
day.
on the data that I've scraped from the algorithm here. Thank
Those were some
you.
good ones. Well, I was just thinking while you were looking at that, totally unrelated, but yet related to what's happening, that uh the I'm sorry, the Illinois governor Pritzker is a
Oh,
Capricorn. So, you know,
thank
I
God.
yeah, I know. It's like, do I actually miss Capricorn energy after Pluto left? Yeah, maybe I do a little bit. I think
Pete Buttigieg is a Capricorn,
yeah.
but so is
Yeah.
RFK Jr. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
miss
I
him.
read the RFK, the Maha report this week. I just want you to know, because I was out to dinner with a friend who I adore, who has the same birthday as me, but we just kind of lock horns because he's just in the cult of RFK Jr. and he's just like spewing all this stuff. I was like, I got it. He's like, but the report was out. I was like, okay, let me read it. I mean,
Ooh,
honestly, it had nothing. Like it didn't, it had well, the people who were on the committee for it include uh, Stephen Miller,
ugh,
Linda McMahon. By the way, did you know she's the Secretary of Education, who's also the co-owner of WWE, right? They're going to have WWE wrestling on the cement at the club Rose Garden. This is happening. They're
well,
literally going to have a
the
WWE
next Jake
tournament.
Paul fight going to be there too
I
to
mean, like this is idiocracy at its finest. I mean, they're like the people who are on oh yeah, I think Russell Vogt is on the Maha committee too there.
oh
I'm like,
my
where
god.
who are they just
Heritage
basically said the
Foundation,
most like, yeah, like it's like
not a
okay.
scientist in sight,
But
not a
it
doctor
was
in
not
sight.
anything that really even is supporting his claim. It's like, okay, sure, like food and ultra processed food, sedentary lifetimes, overuse of technology, overprescription of medication to kids,
I think we knew that in like
like microplastics, air
2001.
quality. It's all leading to an unhealthy America. Okay. I mean, I didn't disagree with any of that. I was like, okay, sure. But it's like when you try to promote things that are not proven, like now he's trying to push that Tylenol could cause autism, and
Oh my god.
acetaminophen, which again, if that's true, I want to know, but do an actual study on it. Don't just start forwarding these things. I want to, if that's true, we need to know. But again, it's the way it's being, and that was
It's
kind of
just
what
he
I
like
arrived
not
at.
all studies are created equal. Some of them are like funded by private
Well,
donors to
right. And
basically
he makes
create
a whole thing about that.
propaganda. So
He's
he's
Mr.
just
like Monsanto. He took down Monsanto years ago. He's like Mr. like railing against big pharma, which again, how is this going to, where is this story taking us? Like, you're going to go wild, but well, now you're going to bang into all the donors for the Republicans who let you into their party. So this is not going to end
none of
well.
these people were prepared for politics and donors, and they're just, I mean, it's Uranus retrograde. They're mutually so far backed up each other's asses that I feel like Uranus is going to retrograde back into a different galaxy. So if we
And
keep going,
to a degree, it's also the way things are being communicated, like just like with Taylor Swift, he's a Kennedy. He's grew up running around the White House and the unpaved Rose Garden. And it's like what, like you're not paying attention to your audience. You don't, it's like you've also been in the bubble of privilege of LA and, where you can drink raw milk because you can find the cow that it came from. Like, not everybody, it's just like
Yeah.
the privilege. It's so insane. Like the blindness to how the everyday American lives is just, I don't know. It's a thing, but I want a
Mass delusion.
yeah,
I've
I
been reading thank you to our friend Sandy once again for reminding me about and connecting me to Stephen Hassan, the cult expert. He was a member of the Moonies and he has some incredible books. He was deprogrammed from being part of a cult. And, he says even families can be cults. So he wrote a book about the cult of MAGA as well.
countries can be
Yeah,
cults.
but he's been at this since the 70s. So that's also been something I've been really listening to on an audio book as I do my cooking and driving and that kind of
What
thing.
makes
So
a cult a cult? What, like, how does it, did you happen to like
yeah,
glean
there are,
anything
I
on
don't,
that?
I wouldn't say that I have the full checklist to rattle off and want to be an authority on it, but definitely like the the obedience, sometimes the donation of money, the giving all your money to things,
I mean,
the fear
help
of
Trump get to
retribution.
heaven. He
Yeah, well,
literally,
there's
yeah.
a lot of the leaders of cults, and they have their armies already, the flying monkeys of the narcissists ready to do their bidding. Um if you try to leave, then they have dug up so much dirt on you. There was like, he has like real stories of courageous people who left, like people have their lives threatened or smear campaigns. It's almost like when you leave a narcissist amplified, when a narcissist builds a community around them and gets an army, um and you get, they love bomb you, and then they also try to separate you from your friends. And so what I took away from it was that there is no type of person who is susceptible to a cult. You might be just going through a time maybe where you're like feeling a little lonely, or you're grieving, you're maybe in a vulnerable place, and someone comes along, kind of love bombs you or makes you feel like you belong. And it can happen to anyone, just like love with a narcissist or friendship with a narcissist or working for it can happen to anyone, because they usually begin with flattery and love bombing and making you feel special or seen, and then it gets taken away suddenly and abruptly, or you get shamed when you've connected and bonded. So you create a trauma bond with that person, and that is an addiction.
Mm,
And when the brain is in addiction, it doesn't really matter what the substance, quote unquote, substance is.
wow.
Addiction is addiction. And so
Mm,
we have to then, you have all the withdrawal and that kind of things. So I think
wow.
that's what I'm taking away from what I'm learning. And so you think like, wow, we have a mass addiction to and fear. And who knows what Elon Musk, while he was working for Dare Fuhrer, what kind of access to information was given. And even if he regrets it now, as far as we know, it could be all cosplaying. It's too late. The damage is done.
Well, that reminded me of one more thing I wanted to say in the wake of this eclipse and all these changes. Like, this last week, everybody thought Trump had, like, off, been, sayonara, gone over the Rainbow Bridge. Not that he deserves to be at the pets, but
Just
um,
go. Gates of hell are more like it, but
yeah,
yeah, go
that
on.
that he had, joined Satan off screen from South Park. Uh, but no, he reappeared, But like, I just feel like, what is JD Vance doing with Peter Thiel? Like, what is the after play gonna be? Because
There's
as
no bottom, just like an
there's
addiction. There's
right,
no
like
rock
that's where
bottom.
the scary coup could come in. So if you find yourself this week spiraling out a little, thinking about it all in the eclipse aftermath, do just get into your body. It really can help. So Virgo can also be very over analytical and the sun and Mercury there, but it's also very task oriented. And Virgo rules the body, it rules acts of service, it rules wellness, like meal prep, map out an outline for a business plan, get chat GPT to give you a workout list, a set list,
Make a
just
plan. It's Virgo is also
or do those little
service.
do those
So
little
since we're talking about, addiction and recovery, not in the RFK Jr. way, but um, acts of service, like find a place to be of service to yourself. Self-care, well-being, those might be overused terms, but go micro. The eclipses makes everything amplified and macro. So while it there can be overwhelming waves of energy, like go small, like they say, just for today. Take it one day at a time. What can you do today to move
I
something
mean,
forward? What can you do today
or make like
to,
a 30-day challenge for yourself that you can
yeah,
do something that you progress. I know there's like apps like Couch to 5K that help people to start running. I started working out with a trainer. I booked some sessions because I joined Equinox in Seattle, which is finally opened here and I love it. But I was like, okay, I'm not really going. I needed a plan, even though I've worked out for years on and off. And I just was like, I need a new plan for this stage of my life. And they actually did the whole body scan and measurements. And I was like dreading it, but I was like, oh, this is good. I know where I'm imbalanced and need to build strength. And it was yeah, so it just put some structures in place too to support yourself, whether that's YouTube workouts,
legitimately
accountability
woke up at 2
buddies.
a.m., looked at my phone and then woke up this morning remembering that I had actually paid for a 1 week trial at 2 a.m. of a Tai Chi app. But something about it got me at 2. I was just like, oh, okay, this sounds good.
I mean,
So I
I
don't know.
don't, why not? It's really
Exactly. But then I was
amazing.
like, I still approved it. That was so Pisces rules the nocturnal subconscious. I was like, actually, only during a Pisces lunar eclipse would I support keeping something that I signed up for in the middle of a dream state. So
Like you
with
woke
that,
up and signed up for a Tai
I think I
Chi
like
app.
woke up and like went on Instagram for a few minutes and then showed up. I was like, yeah, that sounds good. Oh, okay. Yeah. In your 50s, it's really good. Not harsh work. Okay, I'll do it. So, but we'll see. I think I'll try. Let's see if I actually do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. I think I'll report back next week if I even remember.
Let's see what the
Wow.
Virgo eclipse brings. Well, that sort of thing. I mean, and yeah, even just like the way you nourish yourself or keeping a food journal to see how food and mood intersect. Like take it down to those very, very granular things. Clean up an area of your house that's cluttered that you just have been dreading. Start with one corner. I mean, those very somatic, in the body, kinesthetic experiences are the things that can help you integrate. My thing is listening to books and podcasts and doing a jigsaw puzzle at night sometimes. Like that helps me wind down and I'm
Whatever
really
calms your
able.
nervous system.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
also things like that increase neuroplasticity and help you rebuild your neural pathways so you can kind of get through things. So yeah, focus on those types of very like life hacky type activities this week. We
And if you
will
want to build a business with us or grow the one you've got, well, Astropreneurs, it's at astrostyle.com/astropreneurs. Go check it out and see if it speaks to you and jump into the mastermind with us and let's create a new thing for you to feel enlivened and passionate about, even while chaos is happening in the world. There's
Yeah, it's going to
nothing
be
better than
great to be
having
in
that.
community, like our Become Your Own Astrologer community got us through the inauguration. We'll be working on our own plan for the Age of Aquarius with all the entrepreneurs and visionaries and transition team people in the final quarter. So starts this Saturday, September 13th. We'll drop the link in the show notes, and have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week right back here.
Thanks for tuning in to AstroTwins Radio. If today's episode gave you an aha moment, we'd be over the moon if you left us a 5-star review. It helps fellow astrology lovers find us. And make sure to hit subscribe and follow us on iTunes and Spotify so you never miss an episode. Want the full visual experience? You can also watch the video version on our YouTube at AstroTwins-TV. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at AstroTwins and head over to astrostyle.com to read your free daily, weekly, and monthly horoscope that we write for you with love. Until next time, move with intention and let the universe meet you there.